Hello. Really? Oh. Okay, we got to do this. That's a thing to think about. Wait, is it compiler bug fixing? No, we're like rearranging some features that exist, and then that's setting the stage for doing more powerful things. We like more powerful things. Okay, so like that maybe. I'm getting kind of hungry. I just started the stream. I'm getting kind of hungry. Error, we don't handle strings here yet. So we want to handle strings. Okay. Do I think that you all should program now rather than watch the stream? Probably. That would probably be a better use of your time. Full snack developer. have a delicious cinnamon apple oatmeal. Okay. So, what a pain in the butt. We kind of want all this to happen. Okay, let me see. So we do this push and flatten. Okay. So basically what I'm doing is I have a couple of different language features that are a little bit different syntactically and a little bit different semantically, and I want to factor them around differently. So all the functionality is here. I just need to break it apart and move it into different places, and sometimes that's a pain in the butt. And in a minute, my fabulous boiling water will be ready, and we'll have some oatmeal and tea, and then I can party down on this situation. But so I'm trying to remind myself, I'm trying to remember where we actually do this. Block to insert. Okay. So all of this block to insert stuff, we want to actually put on insert. But where does it get created? Where does it? Not in any of these files. It gets there. Issue load for run and insert. Okay. So we need to replace that. Or we're gonna copy it. Interesting. Okay. 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 So, what did we just say? We just said issue load for run and insert. Right, that's in pump. And this happens in pickup directives. Okay, this is the reason this is here is just that this is when runs complete. So there's not really a reason to put the new thing here. Instead, we can go back to here and make a new one that is just for, whoops. Just for us. Issue load for directive insert. It's going to be the new thing. Did I fix yesterday's bugs? Yes. It was pretty simple. What was yesterday's? Trying to remember now. Oh, it was just, like modify directives need us to wait until they're ready, and we thought we were doing that. And it was slightly wrong. The wait condition that was in there. So that was no good. Okay, so we have pasted this. Okay. We're going to make this take the string literal for now. Okay, so a lot of this we don't care about. Okay, so we're looking at the string. All right. Does insert have an enclosing scope? Just going to do that. Except this is not even. Okay. Okay. This is just a straightforward translation of what this was. What do we use this for? I'm not sure how we decide. Oh, because we add an insert. Something like that. We'll see. We're going to try not to set that. Wait, we already set this. Okay. So we do all this stuff, and it's not going to be everything we need to do, but okay. That's going to maybe do something. It's not called string literal. Yeah, it is. Oh, literal. Right there, it was that one. All right, so now we're in main. We don't want that. It's good to get rid of that. Is it this? Okay. So I want to stop for a second and figure out my display is being wacky. It just feels laggy and stuff. I don't know if it's at like 10 hertz or something. 30 hertz! Guys, that's what I get. That's what I get for trying to use a streaming PC to share my things. No wonder I'm programming so slow today. I'm at 30 hertz. It's not going to go above 30. This is communist, guys. What do I do about this? We're streaming at 60 hertz, but we're only outputting at 30. How am I showing my display? I am plugging it into the Elgato Camlink 4K. Which may not actually be capable of going above 30, I don't remember. But that's a secondary display, so I was hoping that the very powerful NVIDIA card would be able to share those displays at different frame rates, but I guess that's just not a thing. What laptop model do I have? I have several. They're all garbage. All laptops today are bad. I cannot recommend one. They are all bad. Have I tried from Windows Advanced Displays? Were we not just there? Like, this is just... Oh, this is the wrong monitor. Like, this is just the worst UI. Oh, let's try it. I don't think that did anything. Can you guys still see? So the question is, did this actually do anything? Let's try this. I mean, it honestly looks kind of laggy to me. Was it that laggy a second ago? Oh, it didn't change. It didn't. All right, well, let's see if it's better for me. If it's better for me, then I'm a happier person. Nope, it is not better for me. This is such garbage. All right, well, rip. Oh, yeah, it might have changed. Let's just see. Because it might have changed them both back to... It says 59. Can't ever get computers to do anything good. That capture card can only handle 4K 30. Okay, well, that's the problem. How about the internal? They sell some like internal Elgato Pro Camlink or whatever capture card. Does that do 4K 60? Because that's what I should get. It's just they're not available on Amazon right now because of Chinese factories all stopped making things and America can't make its own things. How big is my monitor? It's about like that. There's one called 4K 60 Pro. Yeah, that's what I should get. But I can't just get that right now. At least not from Amazon. It's not available, I checked. Or is it? Let's see. Yeah, in stock July 30. That's not that far in the future, but can't the capture card capture the 4K to 1080p 60? Maybe, but the problem is I would then have to down res my desktop to 1080p as far as I can tell, because we can't scan out at 2 different resolutions. At least not that I've figured out. It is available in Italy. If I ordered it from Italy, I'd probably get it before the 30th. Okay, so wow, everything feels so slow. This compiles now, but I don't think it's going to work yet. Yeah. Oh, really? That's not why I expected it to fail, but that was a problem. Okay. There we go. So this is old. It's expecting it to be a run directive, or, well, it's expecting it to be a run directive, and we're getting rid of that. Okay, we had a similar thing here. Okay. If it's an insert, skip is true. Okay. Great. So I think what's going on is that we need to do some stuff after the load completes that we have not done. That I'm not sure what's the cleanest way to do it. But this is good. So if we run this and break at the assert, this is going to be the call that we are inserting, I believe, right? Yeah. Yeah. Wait, what? Oh, we didn't flush the file, dude. This is old. We didn't flush the file. Fail. Do I still plan to release the compiler into the public domain? Whoever said public domain? Whoever said public domain? Okay. Pretty sure I said public domain. I'm pretty sure I didn't. Well, in the far future, maybe, but not anytime soon. Do I think GPL and copyleft licenses are a plague upon society? Yes, I do. It is already way too hard to make software. Adding legal barriers to making software is just not the right thing. Okay. So like the deal is this just isn't inferred at all. Right? Like null. So we need to do that step. Question is, where best do we do that step? We can wait on the load. Like, we can see if there's an inserter. So I'm just trying to think right now. There are like a number of ways that I could do this, and of course I want it to be the cleanest, simplest, best, all those things, all those good adjectives. Go back here for a second. Where was that? Dude, I hit enter. Like if you hit enter on a new search before it finishes the old one, it doesn't work. Okay. So basically what we have finished so far in this new pathway for this feature functionality is the insert directive fires, it evaluates its expression, it type checks that it's the right kind, it then creates a load directive if it's a string, fires off that load directive successfully parses the string. And so now, once that load directive is done, we kind of need to do the part where we infer the string. And there's a little bit of a sticking point here, which is it's not that big of a sticking point, but insert directives do not necessarily get queued in the queuing system, which means that we don't necessarily know. So like if we have new stuff and we want to say push and flatten this new stuff, which is how you would get it inferred, you kind of want this thing to be an argument there. So we could store what the current one is on the insert directive. That seems like the best bet to me. When we set up the string and we say we're going to go do the load directive, we save what that is, and then we push and flatten onto that when the load is done. Now I'm trying to remember, so this thing, oh, let me see. I need to do that. Okay. Okay, this is what I was looking for. This is the main loop that like infers everything. And we have this case here for when we see a run directive. Is it a run and insert? The flatten that needs to happen is part of queued that is different from the runs queued. I am not sure why this required me to put this out here, though. It might have just been the way I was doing things. So, I would be very happy to get rid of this. And that should happen after we supplant this functionality with the new functionality. Because you don't want a bunch of cruft in this loop, because this loop runs for like everybody. So the fewer if statements you're doing in here, the better. Like all this stuff, like this thing. We definitely would like to get rid of. Okay. We want to slim all this down a lot. A lot. This thing just says make the scope be live and remove the inserter, which all seems reasonable. I kind of don't know why it's two different functions, but maybe that's historical. Like, I'm not sure why we don't just call this for both cases. That's the only difference. But we're going to remove it, so we're not going to work on tidying it up. Really, I don't have to do make scope be live. I think I just have to push and flatten. And that's all. So if this is code, we do it down here. All right. We can either do this up there, or we can do it when the load completes. There are different advantages. If we put this code where the load completes, it is more straightforward. We're just doing what we want to do. But it doesn't centralize the subject matter. You know what I'm saying? If we do it here, it might be slightly slower because like more things have to happen, but probably not in a way that really matters. But then again, these things all add up over time. So when we check for expansion, we could say, okay, did this come from a string, a load? If it did, then do the push and flatten here and return false. Let me just see what the load does when it's complete. I don't remember. Who calls parse top level? All right, so that's load string. And then so we do this inside the pump and we say load completed. But then this doesn't do anything for imperative scopes. This is a little bit, the old version of this is more spread out than I would like, because this is like, oh, this handles this one case. Now maybe it's necessary to spread it out this much, but kind of don't think so. I think this is at least partially historical. You've tried making games for Windows on Linux and it works fine. Citation needed. Okay. People ask the same thing every day. Welcome to my world of people coming into the channel and asking the same 5 questions every day. What problems do I have with modern operating systems? All of them. I have all the problems. I have all the problems with modern operating systems. Okay. So how many times per stream do I get the graphics API question? I don't know. I mean, it gets, I sort of lose count with all the other questions that happen 20 million times. But that's okay. It at least means people are interested enough to ask questions. I kind of want to, okay, it's 1:40 p.m. Like a little later in the afternoon, I want to go to the chocolate store and like buy a bunch of chocolate because I'm trying to do this stuff right now. And I have like, my brain is not running at 100% for some reason. And you know, we all have days like that where we're a little dumber than other days. I think chocolate and chai on a nighttime stream will cure this problem for me. Will get my energy level like all the way back up. I think that's what's going to be necessary. But I don't have chocolate. I do have chai, and I have milk for the chai. So these things may be happening. But I have to go get the chocolate. There's a chocolate store with just chocolate. Yeah. So one of the best chocolate stores that I know of is in San Francisco still. It's on 24th Street, and they sell a lot of different chocolate. It's run by this dude who's run the store for a long time. Chocolate is converted directly into brain energy. I agree. That is my personal lived experience of chocolate. Do I use any visual verbal techniques in creating puzzles for my games? No. Like, it's so easy, especially with the new game, it's so easy to have puzzle ideas. I have like hundreds more puzzle ideas than I've had time to try. It's just so easy. Ever had Hotel Choco chocolates? No. Oh, chocolate chocolates. Probably. Sugar does have drawbacks, though. Fake news. Fake news. The liberal media just wants you to think sugar is bad. Can I give you $1 million puzzle idea? Sure. Let me think for a second. You do a game with music puzzles, right? where you're like in an ancient tomb or something, and you're unlocking it by setting up the musical things to like play in the right order. So you're manipulating like segments of notes around, right? And trying to make tunes that have certain properties. So it's enjoyable because you're making songs, and but they're also songs that have to fit certain constraints. Like a modern Loom, yeah. Like Loom had a little bit of this back in the day, but like a Loom for 2020, all right? That would easily be like a game that makes $1 million is not that much, honestly. So I think it would be pretty not hard to make $1 million with that game idea. Loom 2016. Written by, what's the guy's name? I forgot his name now. With what's his name doing the soundtrack? Mick Gordon. Or Mick, what's his name? Mick Gordon, yeah. Doing the Loom 2016. Will I give a talk at some point on what I would want to see in a new OS? I probably won't give exactly that talk, but I will do one that's more general in principle. Like, I will do a talk at some point about what I think are current problems that we are perpetuating because they're just the way that we do everything right now, and it's unnecessary, right? What laptop did I end up getting after I got rid of my X1 Extreme? I got another X1 Extreme Gen 2, unfortunately, and it's still bad. I was hoping the Gen 2 would be better, but it's not. Doesn't Casey's video on the 30 million lines probably already explains part of the problem with the OS? Yes, but I want to get more specific about some things. You've heard good things about the Razer. It doesn't have mouse buttons, so it automatically goes in the garbage. And then every Razer that I've had, I've owned like 5 Razer laptops. They all had horrible build quality problems and fell apart after like a year. Which Linux graphics API do you recommend using Git for Unity game engine integration with Rust? Well, okay, so I think you need to use SDL, right? But the problem with SDL is that you get the source code for it, and you can link it into your program, and you know what it's actually going to do. And so I think you need to switch to this new rendering model where the API is called OpenSDL, right? And in OpenSDL, the API is in a black box, right? So when it crashes in there, you can't get a backtrace. And that's very secure. It makes your code more secure, and it makes the renderer faster, I'm sure, in some way. And, you know, all of the really great thing about OpenSDL is that all the data types are just an integer. They're all like, you know, unsigned integers. So you don't have to worry about, you know, remembering different data types or anything. They're just all OSDL uints, and that's really good. And then also the good thing about OpenSDL is that then the person who makes your graphics card can update the driver all the time and change the way your game works by doing that. And so your game can have surprising new behaviors every week when the OpenSDL driver is updated. It's like you don't even have to work anymore. Like once you launch your game, it'll just change automatically every week. And maybe if enough people did this, I would actually be able to find a game that I want to play because one of them would magically change into something that I actually want to play. I tried again last night, Casey. I tried to play games and there was just nothing. It was really rough. It was really rough. Like the noise a dog makes. I found a movie to watch with Casey to do a review of. I think we accidentally forgot about that idea. Guns Akimbo starring Daniel Radcliffe. It's also quite bad. I don't know, like, as someone who makes video games professionally, like, watching movies about that is automatically very hard. Okay, I'm going to structure this by, we're just going to put some variables on the thing, on the insert directive. We're not going to sleep or do anything fancy. And we're just going to try to do this as straightforwardly as possible. And then we'll see. We're just going to not, because sometimes, like I was looking at the old structure of the other thing to see if there was something there that we wanted to emulate. And there might be, like, there might be good reasons why it's structured in that weird way that it is. Like, I definitely had reasons at the time for doing that. But in the new way that everything is structured, I think that at least a lot of that is a historical hangover. So I'm just going to do it from scratch again and see if it comes out cleaner and simpler. Etc. I wish I had some more poppin' nuts, man. I really want snacks today. All right. Let me go to Amazon and add that. No, I don't want to do that on stream. Leak sensitive account info. You have some candied peanuts and they are pretty excellent. Are those something I can get from Amazon? Oh, okay. I'm going to go later. So when we take the stream break, I'm going to go get chocolate and peanut butter M&Ms. It's going to be really good to do these things. All right, let me just give an attempt at this new thing. I'm not even going to worry that much about making a million state variables. Okay. How do I know when a load directive is done? Let me just start typing. So if called generated load directive. Okay. So I don't know what isDone is. We just need to figure that out. And then we'll say like this is weird because yeah, okay. Insert outside of an imperative scope is not yet supported. So we need to like test insert in data scopes. All right. Okay. So we do this. First pass, we do this. It kicks off the load. The load goes. The load finishes. We come back here and we say, make data scope be live, or just make scope be live. Make scope. Oh, it's in be live. Make scope be live. Target scope. To make live, that's this. Owning statement and register names is true. Okay. Something like that. But only, actually, right, we want make data scope. Okay. If it's data declarations, we do something. Otherwise, we do something else. Gonna do that. Just gonna go directly to make data scope be live. Okay, we're doing that. Okay, otherwise, we copy this from down here. We push and flatten, and then we're good. This is probably wrong. Okay, so now we got to add our things. What would you guys think if I actually reduced the font size a little bit? Because look, I made my standard font size really big for streaming, but like when I'm two up like this, there's like a lot of wrapping and it's not that great. So with a smaller font size, this might be better, and I do this a lot. I don't know. It's huge, people say. It's fine to reduce it a bit. What about people watching on their tiny, tiny Apple Watch? Uh-oh, I forgot to pour my tea. It might be way oversteeped. Except I'm pouring it and it looks like water, so it may just be done a bit smaller. Where's my font size? This is so much garbage. I need to put a string that says the font size is here. Wow, that's so small. We'll go in the middle for now and see how it is. I mean, I kind of like having a big chunky font, but Control X minus reduces font size. No, it doesn't. Oh, Control X Control minus does. All right. Okay. So we issue load for directive insert. That is going to say is that. Okay, and then generated load directive. Let's just call it generated load. Come on. Okay. So we need our is done somehow. Now I would guess that, do loads add inserters? They don't appear to. Which seems wrong. I guess the rule is we don't do anything if loads are pending. Is that correct? That would be crazy. Okay, so I'm getting hungry again. Gonna have to go on this chocolate run eventually. Okay, I thought insert expansion was a block, but it isn't. It isn't. Okay. So we're going to have to make a block there. I'm going to have to go back and modify that. Okay. Okay. So we're not setting this load target block yet. I think we want to mark this as there's some block flag. Maybe not. Anyway. Okay, is right, and insert. This part's easy, hopefully. Right. Well, who knows what we just did. Interesting. We're probably infinite looping up here. Yeah. Okay. Now, if we come down here, we're returning false. And that's, okay, so we need another variable here. All right. Can someone explain what make whatever be live means? It means that sometimes you have code that for various reasons is like parsed. It's a syntax tree that has been, converted from text into the compiler's, tree-like internal representation. But it's not meant to yet represent code that will run at runtime yet. And so you don't need to do type inference on it to figure out what type everything is. And in fact, you probably don't want to, because it may not be possible, because one of the reasons why that doesn't yet represent runtime code is because it's like, the body of a polymorphic function or the body of a macro or something like that. And so sometimes you have these trees laying around that are not yet meant to be part of the final program, but then you go through a step where you say, okay, now this actually is. And that's what BeLive means. All right. We didn't do this. We didn't say result equals. Wow. We did the functionality. So what we're doing here is we have our insert directive, and so this is a code data structure, which is a syntax tree, right, at runtime, and this is a string, and we're using the directive to insert a code and then a string, and there we go, and that works. So that's good. Now there are probably lots of things that don't work yet, and I'm going to start testing those, but you know, the future is here. Not yet, the future is not yet here, but if I'm good, if I get enough chocolate today, then by the end of the night, the future will be close to here. This is gonna, when I get code directives ready, it's gonna be so fun to play around with them, guys. It's gonna be dope. And dipe. Can you recursively insert? Yes. So let's do that. Let's say I'm going to do a line here. We're going to say inner is code that starts a block and then says for 1 to 3. Actually, let's call this outer. For 1 to 3, insert my code, insert outer, for example, right? So we're inserting a thing that itself inserts other things. Hopefully that works. Semicolon, oh, because of that. There you go. Dipe. It is dipe. It is dipe. It is dipe. Could you recursively did we not just do that? That's what we just did. Oh, you mean something that tries to insert itself? Well, we should correctly detect that. So if you say bomb insert, I don't know, right, and then, or no, let's make this code that does insert bomb, right? That'll never work. So too many nested inserts. The limit is 1,000. How much chocolate bars for a beta invitation? That's a good question. There probably is some number of chocolate bars that would get you a beta invitation. It just might be very high. Because, you know, I can get my own chocolate bars. You know what I'm saying? Chocolate bar with a golden ticket. That's how it should work. Except I want the chocolate bars. I don't want to give out the chocolate bars. That looks so powerful. Oh, you have no idea where this is going to end up. It's going to be so good in the end. Right now, we're just getting the basic structure down. Okay, so this is fine. We need this to work in data scope. So that's a declaration, right? And I'm going to say S is a struct. Right? And, well, first of all, we want to make sure this works. It may not work. And then one of these is bound to fail because we just did this. Attempt to use imperative statement inside a data scope. Okay. Now it's going to get rejected in type inference ourselves, yeah. Insert outside of an imperative scope is not yet supported because that's how it's been. Okay. Okay. Attempt to insert a non... Okay, right. So these things... So if it's a string, it ought to be handled by this stuff up here. But if it's code... See, we need to test both of these paths thoroughly. If it's code, we go down here. Okay. This is the imperative. And the problem is, interesting. Interesting. We don't have a way to do insert depth except in imperative scopes. Okay, so what we did here Make Datascope be live, but make. Boy, we're just running into things that are not. I think we'll just do this, and then we'll get to the next error message. There's all sorts of weird things about, like, we might want to strip the scope when we insert. Yeah. Am I working on inserting declarative scopes right now? Yes. And I'm also kind of making a mess, but it'll be messy and then it'll recongeal. Famous last words? No. If you know anything about what I've been doing on this compiler, it's that I work very, very much to clean things up and make them as structurally good as possible. Like, that's been over half the time that I've worked on the compiler is doing that at this point. Okay. Okay, so we just call this enclosing scope down here. And okay, how do we do this? Really? Okay, that's probably not right at all. Undeclared identifier A. So that did not register the name for that thing. Let's see if it even works though. Let's go back to our program and we'll just make it very simple. Gonna get rid of this, gonna get rid of this, gonna get rid of this. Gonna go get rid of all this and just do that. So that's the only insert that is happening right now is that one, and it won't work. Oops. Yeah. So now what if we just do this? Then, well, we do the insert, but we have a problem with it later, which is not that surprising. So there's multiple, like, there's all sorts of problems here. There's like, we're inserting stuff. Like, this is the sort of thing where maybe I fight through it, or maybe I try to think of the way to elaborate it a little more. Because, like, it's like, look, we want to insert this into this scope. So we want the names to register. But what if we had like a block with a bunch of variables in it and we want to insert all of that into that scope? We have special case times when things like that happen, like, you know, macro expansions and stuff, but that's not exactly what kind of case this is. And so I really sort of want a thing that's like, just always put it in a block and then export all the names. You know what I'm saying? From that block, I guess. I need to think about it. This might be a good time to just take a break and think about how I want to do this. Because we've got the basic functionality down, but the challenge now is going to do all the permutations of what we need. So we need imperative scope, we need data scope, and then we need multi-line insert or single expression insert, and we need from string or from syntax tree. So that's up to 8 combinations at least. And we want to wrangle these in a way that is sane and doesn't turn into C++, right? You can treat it as a scope all the time. When you write the block, you can write tick. I don't know what write tick means, but yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. So right now, the old version of insert just had an expression, right? That was not a block. Now, we could either make it always a block or just make it a generalized expression that could or might not be a block. And we could do a thing where the insert itself could specify whether we want to strip a top level scope. I don't know. Oh, the backtick. Yeah, you have the scope changer syntax tick before the variable takes the scope of the, yeah. I mean, you don't, I'm not really sure if the syntactic part of that applies in this case. Oh, and then there's also, what does apply no matter what is, does the insert, is it internal or external with reference to name resolution, right? Which is what the backtick is for. So that's like 16 combinations, man. And so you need to make things work generally in cases like that, or you end up sad very quickly. But that is where it is right now. I think we're going to take a break. It's been a little 2-hour stream. I'm going to go on the chocolate run. I'm going to get peanut butter M&Ms. And then we're going to come back later. So let's see who we could raid. We haven't really raided people in a while. We're going to go to science and technology and see who is doing the programming. Uh-oh. Bucket fill algorithm. Gold bar greater than chocolate bar. I don't agree with that. So is Lana actually programming right now? Looks like it. She's programming, so that's an option. We'll do that. You can get her to program better with chocolate. All right. Thanks everybody for coming by. We will be back up later this evening and continue this after I have had some brain time to brain in the membrane.